here.
As long as it doesn't mess up the mic stuff. No, because it won't mess up the mic stuff because we can just use that mic. Hey, Mark.
Yeah.
What if we make Chris Taylor's seat the podium, and they just come sit in Chris Taylor's seat,
Well, would there be a way?
and then move?
Would there be a way for me to switch these mics? That way
They can stand.
they can have a tall mic.
Okay, here's the thing. When you were saying, that mic's gonna be heard. Your feed's gonna come out of me.
Right, and he wants to be able to see
But I
them.
think we have to be able to see the people that are speaking.
So if we make Chris Taylor's desk,
Yeah, it'll be seen.
so he's seen,
Can I just
And we can still
unhook
see
these
2
mics
feet.
and swap the mics?
So you wanna put the podium mic here?
yeah.
Okay.
Instead of the podium, we're going to have my mics.
I've got another one with me.
Another big one?
Mike, yeah, that one right there. So you wanna move this table?
No, just use that table as the podium.
Oh, okay. That one would work.
Do what?
That works
That way, instead of everybody passing off.
So do you even need this now?
Everybody passing off the mics.
And then, so just, yes, that audio.
Awesome.
So I'm going to put this one.
Is this one of those things where you're doing it?
That's why we're not going to school tomorrow.
Oh, man, I mean, in town. Just
Yeah.
Heather Hills, the sun crazy. It's like,
Do what?
they have a black ice warning out for the morning because it's supposed to be 8 degrees. So this water's going to be like glass. Awesome.
I went to the McDonald's and I can't wait to feel ice tomorrow and like no one thinks it's
Assistant principal at Lono Middle.
Lono Middle, Matt Thompson.
Thompson, he's actually lives in Kelly.
All right, Tim, I'm just gonna invite you.
Neighborhood. South the entire neighborhood. I'm working on it right now, hang on.
I just sent you an email.
Got a text also. Okay, so this is podium.
Yes.
You want me to go to
my computer. Mark, come here. I should get an audio out of this, right?
Just wanted you to know. Actually, I don't know if you get called or not. We'll see.
I'm not seeing any audio even
I don't know if
through
it catches you.
so it can't come out of my computer. Can you have another screenshot? Never mind, I'm an idiot.
I mean, I think we'll be able to hear it.
We're working on it.
One more time.
Hang on.
Can you hear me now?
Is that good? They would never be here though. You guys are live.
Okay. Did you, Mr. Carter?
About the other attendance, are there going to be any of those reports tonight?
Talking about the schools.
Yeah, no, not that, like instruction, attendance, those reports,
No,
maintenance, transportation, none of those, okay.
we'll pass on those tonight.
Okay, that's the only thing I was going to make sure we're okay on.
Yeah, I mean, on the attendance, instead of just being attendance, we'll give Mr. Boland a few minutes to report on the second round of vaccines.
Okay. I'm going to get something proper.
Yeah, I just gotta put the stream on public. Let it go.
Okay.
Hello. What is it? Is it the transportation?
You'll have one that you'll just coming in, right? Sizzle.
You doing okay?
Yes, so she'll have a button. If you want to join the add around now.
Who is it? Tim, can you mute your computer, please? Mute your computer.
Yes, ma'am. I'm just gonna do it 'cause I looked up. So if you ask a question and don't answer this, you're not supposed to. So, no, that's your third one. Thank you. But it's Jennifer's daughter. I appreciated that, didn't you?
5:30. I'd like to call the meeting. If everyone would please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag
Can everybody hear me?
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Jennifer, they have me muted. Let me just hold on. You and I are communicating. They can't hear me.
They didn't stand up. Let's see. Can you all hear me?
They can't. They're,
Yes.
Yeah. I think the ones that are
um,
muted.
I don't think anybody can.
Oh.
Oh, no, he can, they can. Okay. Well, I'd like to call the meeting to order. It's time. If everyone would please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
We got it.
Bro, they can't hear us. Yep.
Hey, Melanie, can you hear?
Yeah, now I can. I couldn't hear anything.
All right.
Okay, we
Can you
just
hear me?
did the pledge. Yes.
Okay, awesome. Okay. Well, I could not hear anything, so I'm sorry I missed that. Jennifer, they've already done the pledge without us, or they went ahead and proceeded. So first thing I'd like to do is recognize. Is there any guests there tonight? Has anybody come to speak?
There are none.
None? Okay. Then we would like to hear Ms. Sism, the Lono Elementary School Board report card.
Okay. Good evening. Sorry that we can't all be together in person. I know that there's all kinds of different things that we could share, but I really want to focus on all of the joy and happiness that's been happening at our school. And I have this little thing that another principal wrote that really inspired me that I want to share with you all, and then share things that are happening at Lono Elementary with each item. So, because it talked about this school year, how it went through all the things that have gone wrong this school year, but instead of that, I want to focus on the things that have gone right. And so this school year has given educators an opportunity to grow more professionally and creatively. And this school year, I've got to see my staff plan together and work together on those Mondays that you've set aside for them, more than I've ever seen before. Each team has it's really caused every team to pull together and think outside the box and think of ways to meet our students' needs. And it's just been a really awesome thing to see that out of my staff and how much it's helped them grow as a team. Schools and community members coming together to meet challenges. Well, for example, you all are community members, and I appreciate all the time and effort that you put in to making this school year a success. And I know that each decision weighs on you heavily, and we love and appreciate you for that. Parents supporting the school in new and inventive ways. Parents have been adaptable in every schedule change that we give them with their childcare and with being involved with the school. This year has caused our parents to be more involved in their child's education than ever before. And we've really seen that at Lono Elementary. Our parents have really stepped up and been partners with us in their education. And that's been pretty amazing. And I think that's going to set the tone for these parents for the rest of their child's school education to be more involved. Students are engaged in innovative learning. The fact that you all were able to give us the Chromebooks and that my third grade can be one-to-one has been a huge asset to Lono Elementary. Our teachers are finding new ways to use the Chromebooks in the classroom. We've also given one to every family, K through 2. And so that's right now, all those students are at home learning and nothing's being disrupted. And our students are learning how to use this technology, which is only going to help. They're learning how to navigate Google Classroom and the Edgenuity program that we bought, and all kinds of other ways. So it's really challenged our students to be more creative in their learning and be more innovative. True progress in academic growth in spite of countless setbacks. I know that we could definitely show you data where we are. We're not as far as we were this time last year or other years. But for example, I have a student that last year was basically completely mute. He was a kindergartner. He was like a developmentally behind his peers. And even though we haven't got to have him every day this year, I went and observed him, and he can say all his letters and sounds. And he's growing and progressing, even though we only get to see him 2 days a week. So students are growing and learning and doing awesome things, even with our schedule changes. So that's been really fun to watch our students grow. Incredible acts of love and generosity and true compassion. Obviously we've had lots of donations. All the staff are like loving and caring to each other, and the parents are, and I really think it's helped bring our community together. Colleagues demonstrating patience and flexibility while extending grace to one another. I gave all my staff erasable ink pens at the beginning of the year, and it said "it's okay" on it, because we have challenged them to have to be flexible and erase things in their planner and change things. The staff has done that so gracefully without any complaining. Everyone working together to provide students with this sense of calm in a sea of chaos. The Lono Elementary teachers come to school every day, right? And students would know no different. There's never any stress in the classroom. Everything's happy and exciting. The students never complain about wearing masks. We don't have a problem keeping our 6 feet distance. The students are aware of it, and it's just a calm, peaceful place to learn. So endless attempts to create positive school memories. I think all of our schools have done such a great job of finding COVID-friendly ways to celebrate things like the parade. I don't know if you all got to come to any of the parades, but they are really awesome to see our community come through the school. And we had a Christmas parade. We had 300 cars. We have 500 students, so that's, a huge part of our school population that came and celebrated those moments. We've adapted our school assemblies to be COVID friendly, where we do them on our school news and make a big deal about it. We send positive rewards home to our parents. Anytime kids are doing awesome things, we take pictures of them doing them and reward them. So we're still trying to find different ways to do COVID friendly positive praise. So that was a positive thing. Is it not working?
Go ahead, keep going.
Okay. That's a positive example I want to share with you. This year, Lono Elementary, as you may know, was recognized as a distinguished school by the Title I conference for closing the gap. And myself and my family resource coordinator, Carrie Moore, had the opportunity to present at the national conference virtually. We presented about how Lono Elementary removes barriers to give every child an equal playing field. For example, at the beginning of the school year, Carrie makes sure every single child has the same school supplies that any other child that comes. And she doesn't just give them a generic cheap backpack. She gets donations and gives them an Under Armour backpack or a Princess Parkway backpack, so that every child feels equal and starts out on an equal playing field at our school. And we shared some different things that our school does to close that achievement gap. Myself and Mr. Johnson and our counselor do daily home visits. As you know, it's important to stay in touch with our. Do you want me to pause? Can you hear me? Is it all jarbled?
Ms. McCain, you mind muting your mic?
Yeah. I don't, sure.
Okay, see if that helps, Jennifer.
Okay, is that better? Okay, do you want me to go back or?
Oh, keep going. No, you're doing great. Thank you.
Okay. Anyways, we have, through our home visits and our parent contacts this year, we have been able to drop our virtual rate from 18% to 12%, which I think is really exciting. Mr. Johnson and I make daily home visits to families that are falling behind or have some kind of barrier that needs to be removed, whether that be they don't have the school supplies they need, whether they need a hotspot, if they're having trouble with their Chromebook, if they're not getting the school materials they need. We take them and deliver them and pick up their work and bring work, and building relationships with those families has helped build trust that they feel safe to send their students to school, because kindergarten, first grade, it's so vital, the more in-person time we can have to help facilitate that learning to read curve. So we're really excited about that. Our virtual numbers have become so low, and we didn't choose to do virtual teachers. We chose to spread our virtual students out across our homerooms so that students can flow in between virtual and in person due to their family circumstances. So that has allowed us to, any child that wants to come in person, we facilitate that as soon as possible. So that's been a really awesome thing to see, and it's been really great to do the home visits and build those relationships. Also, something I've talked about, the parental involvement. I have been amazed at the parents that have stepped up and all the things that they have done for their students. So I talked with I was eating dinner at Outback Steakhouse, and I just happened to start talking to the manager. I never meet a stranger, as you all probably know. And so he's a parent. And so I was telling him, like, how great all the parents have been. And I wish that I could do something to recognize them. And so he partnered with us, and he's gave us $20 gift cards for once a week till the end of the school year. And so each week we honor an Outback Family of the Week to say thank you for all your hard work. So not only are we giving our students positive recognition, we're also giving our families positive recognition. With that being said, I have challenged my staff in January to fill a jar of joy. So I have a jar of joy for each of you all, and I challenge you to find all the happy things that happened this year and fill this up. And then we're going to share them with our students and with our colleagues in our PLCs, and really focus on all the wins that have happened in this school year. So I will be bringing these to you all the next time that I can get my car, and hope to inspire you to find some joy as well, and focus on that. But that is the report on Lono Elementary. Does anyone have any questions?
It doesn't look like there's any questions, Jennifer.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much.
Okay, thank you all.
Okay, next we have up Lono Middle School report. Is
somebody there from Lono Middle School?
Yes.
I'm
muted again.
All right, I'm Coy Elliott. I'm the principal at Lono Middle School. First, I would like to thank the McCracken County Board of Education, Mr. Carter, for your support this year. None of us have had easy jobs, but some tasks are easier knowing that you have support in your corner. Also, thank you to the central office staff for what you're doing in such a crazy time, keeping us going with continued support, advice, and supplied with what we need to run a school amidst a pandemic. Reflecting on the 2021 school year, the theme for Lono Middle School has been to remain flexible. When reflecting on this year, I can't help but think of lessons we learned from our elders. My grandfather is a retired head foreman for the Grace County Road Department. When talking with him about dealing with the public, he told me a story about a day that ironically it snowed, and there was a wreck that they were trying to work. He said the first car pulled up to the checkpoint, and the lady driving rolled down her window and said, could you please get more salt on these roads? They're terrible. He kindly said, yes, ma'am, we'll work on that. My grandfather said the very next car that pulled up, the driver rolled down the window and said, could you please quit putting down so much salt? It's ruining our cars. He kindly said, yes, sir, we'll definitely work on that. So I think that we can all learn a valuable, relatable lesson from this and dealing with this pandemic this school year. Lono Middle School, we are approaching approximately 800 students for our enrollment. Around 150 of those students now are all virtual. We've been fortunate in our school to be able to provide all virtual students with 4 core subject teachers, 2 of which are retired from our district. All four teachers deal with all virtual students all day. This has allowed the rest of our teachers to work with the remaining 650 students in person. With the back and forth schedule changes due to the pandemic, this format has allowed us to have more consistency for all of our students. And I feel that with what we've been through up to this point, the staff at Lono Middle School is capable of succeeding no matter what is thrown at them. One positive we've gained from this year is the emphasis put towards the identification of students that may be struggling. Lono Middle School has created a mentorship amongst the leadership staff. The mentorship concentrates on students whose attendance is poor, as well as students with 4 or more failing grades. And we've created a pyramid for this and refer to it as our 3-tier academic support triangle. Each of the 8 members of the leadership office team have students that are solely responsible for and are checking up on them daily. With my current list of students, I call parents weekly, set up meetings with parents and students, and work with teachers individually to help students achieve goals. We found by concentrating our efforts so specifically with smaller at-risk group sizes, we have seen an increase in achievement on students that have been missed in years past. Lono Middle School looks forward to the day that we get back to normal, hopefully a day that will come when we can have that opening day pep rally at the brand new Lono Middle School. With all the students and staff in attendance. We are all excited about this opportunity coming soon for our school and the community. In closing, I would like to leave you with a theme that I speak weekly at Lono Middle School. We're all going through a lot right now, but I have no doubt we will be better for this in the end. It may be months from now, a year from now, or even further down the road, but we will all gain from this pandemic. This pandemic has forced us out of our comfort zones we'd have never explored. It has made us all better with the use of technology and communicating face-to-face, even though that face-to-face on the screen may be miles away. Districts and schools have received funding for things even a year ago we would have never dreamed we would have access to. All of this will collectively make us better. However, I think I can speak for us all when I say I look forward to the time we can refer to this entire pandemic as, can you remember when? Thank you for allowing me to be a part of the Lono Middle School and this community. Thank you for supporting education, the most important profession in the world. As always, it's a great day to be a Purple Flash. Thank you. Do I have any questions?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, may I have a motion to add items 11 and M to agenda to the addendum to the agenda?
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposition? Motion passes. Next up, we have the minutes of the previous meeting. May I have a motion to accept the minutes of the previous meeting?
I'll make a motion to accept them.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposition? Motion passes. So next we have, sorry, I was trying to flip-flop.
Melanie, you need to vote on each one of those. We had 3 separate meetings.
We need to vote on each meeting separate.
Okay, that's what I was looking at. Do I need to say the dates of each one of those? I was just going back to my agenda to click on it. The second meeting was to whether or not was held on January 25th, 2021. Could I get a motion to accept those minutes?
Make the motion.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Aye. Any opposition? Motion passes. And then the third one is for another, my computer's slow, sorry. Special meeting work session held February 8th. May I have a motion to accept those?
I make a motion to accept them.
Second. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Aye. Any opposition? Motion passes. Okay, next up is the monthly financial report.
Hi, tonight on the financial report, the main thing I wanted to share with you is that we are continuing to learn more about the CARES money that I told you about last month. I've attended 3 online meetings with KDE representatives in the last week, learning more about it. There's definitely flexibility with it in how we spend the money, but there are also some restrictions and limitations we're going to have to work through. Federal funds always come with some strings attached, so we are still learning about those. In addition, KDE is setting some additional parameters that will allow us to maybe get more funding based on how the money is used. Of course, our primary plan to spend the money will be to pay for some summer programs for students for remediation and enrichment this summer, as well as for additional targeted instruction and social and emotional well-being strategies and doing things like that to help student needs based on what they have suffered through during this pandemic and what they have lost out on. We have several ideas in mind of how to optimize our funding because just as I said, there are parameters we have to go around and work with. We have ideas of how we can do that and maximize and optimize our funding. So we'll be prepared when we get the rest of the information from KDE. We expect more to come out tomorrow. I won't be able to review it tomorrow because of the vaccine clinic, most likely, but hopefully early next week, Mr. Carter and I will be able to get together again and talk more about it and see how we can make the most of that money. Do you have any questions about our financial report? Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Carter, what is your recommendation?
Recommend accepting the monthly financial report.
May I have a motion to approve?
Make a motion. Second.
A second. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Aye. Any opposition? Motion passes. Next up, we have the recognition of personnel actions. Has everybody had a chance to review that? Mr. Carter, what is your recommendation?
This is just a recognition. There's no need for a motion.
Okay. All right. And other reports?
Mr. Boland speak. Normally he would be doing his attendance report, but he's just going to give a brief update for a COVID vaccination tomorrow.
Good evening, members of the board, Superintendent Carter. do come with excitement that we get round 2 tomorrow. With all of the inclement weather, we've been able to get all the facilities ready to go. The highway department has done a tremendous job in getting the main roads cleared, so we are a go tomorrow. All of our community agencies that participated in round 1 have all returned to participate in round 2, so we have had confirmation that all 650 vaccines are in hand, and so we should be fully vaccinated. And so that's going to be a great thing for us as we prepare this last leg of the school year. Those staff members that have been able to take both rounds in 2 weeks from now, that they do get that waiver of 90 days in the event that they are exposed to COVID-19. So they will not have to quarantine. We think that's going to be a great thing, and again, that may give us a strong push to finish the year. So just wanted to give you guys an update to let you know that we're very excited about that, and everything is on pace to go as planned. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Carter, would you like to give us a
I'll give a very brief report. The main thing, both Mr. Boland and Mr. Jarnett have addressed the major actions for the last couple of weeks. Focus one is with the CARES money, and which the second round of the ESSER, and trying to find out how we can utilize that in establishing not only programs for the next upcoming summer for enrichment and those other activities, but also in planning for next school year, and how we can continue to find and implement activities, programs, resources for our students as they return next fall. So, but we also want to make sure that we get the most out of those dollars, and as Mr. Jarnett said, that there is a federal match if we use it for personnel, and that guidance has changed on us a couple times in the last week. So we're going to make sure we can get every dollar and maximize it to the best of our ability. So, we will continue to work through that, and I believe I have a meeting on that again tomorrow, and I believe Mr. Jarnett's got another one next Tuesday probably as well. So as soon as we get the clear guidance and the concrete guidance on what it is, we'll share more with you all. But all of our elementary schools, middle school, and high school have all been working to develop summer activity plans for this summer to make sure every student has an opportunity to gain enriched instruction throughout the summer, both June and July. So we have preliminary plans that the schools are going to be submitting to us next week to make sure we're uniform across the district to some degree. But everyone has those opportunities, and there's been a lot of great ideas that we discussed this morning with our principals. And so we look forward to getting those, more concrete. And what's important with that the dollars impact how many activities we can offer and how we can go about it. So all of that is just right now, as Mr. Zaglinski said this morning, a big jigsaw puzzle that we're trying to find all the pieces so we can start putting them together. So that's kind of the motion. And then, this week has been interesting, to say the least, with the weather, because we knew tomorrow was a big day for our faculty and our community with the vaccinations coming forward, and we're not sure how it was really going to go. We had the snow again on Monday night into Tuesday. Yesterday morning we were going to have less than an inch of snow, and then overnight we had about 4 inches of snow. But again, as Mr. Boland said, himself as well as the road department and our maintenance department have worked all day long to get the 2 main vaccination sites ready for tomorrow. Barring anything crazy this evening, I don't think we're supposed to get any weather, but if we do, we'll be ready for that. We'll also be providing, we will not be in school tomorrow because of our secondary roads, but we will be offering meals again tomorrow at Heath Elementary, Lono Elementary, and Reedland Elementary for families that want to come in and pick those up. On an academic note, Mason Wooten, who is a senior at McCracken County High School, has been recognized as a National Merit Finalist. There are 15,000 of those nationwide out of 1.5 applicants. So that means he's in the top 1% of high school seniors. And this is the second year in a row we've had one of those students. And that's, again, just indicative of the hard work of these students, of the staff, from K-12, pre-K-12. That's just a testament to their dedication. Great young man, well recognized, and we look forward to see how much further he can go with that competition. Ms. Sisman mentioned her school's recognition this year, but I'd also like to point out that Heath Elementary School has been asked to apply to be recognized as a National Blue Ribbon School. So to get that opportunity is quite an accomplishment in and of itself. If I know Mr. Cooper at all, he's going to do everything he can to make sure it's not an application, but an award down the road. So we're excited about that process coming forward. And then the last thing I want to add, and we'll talk about this in one of the addendums a little bit later, our current county positivity incident rate is at 12%, not percent, but at 12 today. So we've been on a constant decline with our COVID numbers over the month of February from where we were at. So, we're excited that the community numbers are trending the way that they are so that we can hopefully expand our in-person offerings for our students. So, any questions? Awesome. Thank you all. Thank you.
Does anybody have anything from the board to report?
No.
Okay. Next is the consent agenda. Is there anything anybody needs to pull and discuss or look at on the consent agenda? So, I'm sorry. Mr. Carter, what is your recommendation?
I recommend accepting the consent agenda.
Okay. May I have a motion?
I'll make the motion to accept the consent agenda.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, aye. Aye. Any opposition? Motion passes. Okay. Moving on to school staffing formulas and allocations for the 2021-22 school year.
Yes, thank you. Tonight, I bring before you the identical staffing formula that we have used for several years in our school district. Back in 2013-14, to prepare for that school year when we reconfigured some grade levels and opened our consolidated high school, we adjusted our staffing allocation and formulas so that we could more easily align grade levels and have our schools with more equitable staffing and teachers. And so when we did that, that continues to allow us to provide teaching staff based on cap size requirements, and then well above and beyond that for supplemental teachers and classified staff as well. And our schools use some of those positions to provide additional instruction in the areas of art, music, PE, library, RTI, career pathways, foreign language, Project Lead the Way, and just many, many more offerings all the way from kindergarten to seniors in high school. So this formula ensures that our students have equal opportunities across the district, and these promote an environment of professional learning communities, particularly at the high school. We continue to staff the high school in the way that that structure is physically built with the 5 houses, so that each of the 5 houses has the core content teachers for those areas, and then supplemental staff in addition to that. So I have worked with KDE on the staffing formula and allocation to make sure that it meets all of their requirements. We're confident it does, and that it meets all the legal requirements and is generous above and beyond that. This allocation can be adjusted and will be adjusted as needed through September 15th. That allows us to be responsive to what our needs are when we actually have students in the building in the fall, and we know how many people are in our schools. We can pretty easily project what we'll have in grades 1 through 12 next year, but kindergarten can be a little bit of a wild card, so we do our best to project, and then we'll see what happens. So, do you have any questions about the formula or the allocation? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Carter, what is your recommendation?
The superintendent recommends approving the school staffing formulas and allocations for the 21-22 school year.
Do I have a motion to approve that?
I make a motion to approve it.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, aye. Aye. Any opposition? And motion passes. Moving on to C, funding approval for the National Board Certified Teacher Incentive Program.
Yes, thank you very much, and good evening, everyone. It is that time of year again where we come and ask your consideration to refund the National Board Certified Teacher Incentive Program. This was a program that you all approved to start back in 2016-17. Originally, it started with 5 teachers, and that has progressively increased throughout the time up to 10. It's been a very successful program with the goal of increasing the number of National Board Certified teachers in our district. And I would say it's definitely done that. We are coming to you tonight to ask you to consider refunding that for the upcoming school year, 21-22, for another 10 teachers to be a part of that program, led by Ms. Culp. Any questions for me about this program or Ms. Culp? Okay.
Mr. Carter, what's your recommendation?
Superintendent recommends approving continuation of the National Board Certified Teacher Incentive Program.
May I have a motion to approve that?
I make a motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion?
It's a wonderful program, and we should continue it forever. I'm proud of Ms. Culp very much.
Absolutely. Thank you.
All in favor? Aye. Aye. We did. Motion passes. Okay, moving on to approval of classroom TV screen bids.
Yes, thank you. The next 2 items on your agenda are going to deal with technology that will be utilized in the new Lono Middle School building. So this one deals specifically with TV screens that we will be placing in classrooms, cafeterias, library, media center, hallways, much like what you see on our wall tonight that you see Ms. Burkeen and Ms. Sissom, only bigger. So we have bid out a total of 73 TVs, 60 that will be used for classroom spaces, and then 13 that will be in larger areas like cafeteria, hallways, and the media center that I talked about earlier. We received 3 bids that I'm bringing to you this evening. One company, CDWG, actually submitted 2 bids, one for $77,000 and an alternate for actually higher for $86,000. Carr and Associates submitted a bid for $97,740, and then Better Business Systems submitted a low bid of $71,662. So I'm coming to you tonight to ask you to approve the bid for the TV cameras for Better Business Systems, as they were the low bid, and meet the specs that we asked.
Mr. Carter, what is your recommendation?
The superintendent recommends that the board accept a bid proposal from Better Business Systems for LG classroom TV screens.
Could I have a motion to approve that?
I make a motion to approve it.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, aye. Aye. Any opposition? Motion passes. Okay, the next is same with Michael, approval of security camera bids.
Ma'am, so again, coming to you tonight for the approval of the purchase of security cameras for Lono Middle School. We asked for cameras in a software package that would utilize the cameras. We received 3 bids. one from a company known as DataLink for $99,934. We received another bid from Carr & Associates for $125,000. And then we received from a third company, Premier Fire and Security. And they submitted two bids, one for $108,000, and then an alternate bid, which meets our specs, for $92,000. And so Premier Fire and Security were a low bid. We have done business with them before. So I'm coming to you tonight to ask for your approval to enter a contract with Premier Fire and Security for the security cameras for Lono Middle School.
Mr. Carter, what's your recommendation?
The superintendent recommends that the board accept the bid proposal from Premier Fire and Security for security cameras for Lono Middle School.
May I have a motion to approve that?
I make a motion to approve it.
Second.
Any discussion?
What was the amount again?
For which one, Mr. Shelby?
The lowest bid.
$92,000 even.
Thank you, thank you.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Aye. No opposition, motion passes. Okay, next we have a board member to serve on the Student Code of Conduct Committee.
Good evening again. So by statute, we are required to, the board is required to approve a behavioral code for students, and it's required to be reviewed once every 2 years. With the size of our district and issues and the touchy subjects that we may come across, we tend to review it on an annual basis. With school not, with COVID and students really not being in the building, we haven't had a lot of topics really kind of come across that may be conflicting in our code of conduct or things to consider. But we do have one major topic, and I wanted to kind of review that just real briefly to maybe who may have an interest in serving on this committee. But it's going to be really a lot of focus in regards to virtual learners and how that applies to the code of conduct, whether that be with attendance, whether that be with instruction or behavior on synchronous type learning situations. But we do need to review as a committee that code of conduct. It could be something very general, and it could be something that we really need to dig very deep into the code of conduct and how it applies to virtual learning. So just wanted to kind of give that briefing if someone might have a strong interest in serving on that committee. Again, it should be in a single meeting. We'll review it. Mr. Bradley and I got to go through it, and I got to present things to him beforehand to make sure that we're up and up on what we're going to be presenting to the committee. So we try to get a lot of that legwork done in advance. But again, I think that the code of conduct this year will have a complete focus on virtual learning with the anticipation that KDE and the world pandemic will not probably go away by August of this year. So.
Okay, Tiffany, Steve, do either one of you want to? I don't care to at all, but if I'll be happy to do it unless one of you want to do it.
I don't mind to do it. I did it the last time, unless somebody else wants to do it.
That's good with me.
Okay.
Well, I need to get a motion to,
We'll accept the volunteer.
So we settled on Ms. Watson?
Yeah.
Get two bids out. So.
She got a little bit.
okay, next we have the request authorization to enter into a contract with Woodall Companies.
Yes, ma'am. On January 28th, we opened bids for the roof of the Reedland Middle School, Reedland Intermediate School Band and Choir Building. We had 5 bidders, of which Woodall Company was the low bidder at $106,190. Woodall Company is also the company doing the roof on the new Lono Middle School project. They did the shingle project at Hendron as well. So we're confident they can do this this job, no problem. So I'm asking for your permission to enter a contract with Woodall Companies for that roof project.
Mr. Carter, what's your recommendation?
Superintendent recommends entering into a contract with Woodall Companies for the Reedland Intermediate Middle School Band and Choir Room Roof Replacement Project.
May I have a motion to approve that?
I make a motion to approve it.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Aye. No opposition, motion passes. Okay, I guess that's you again. We have a request to, permission to allow McCracken County High School to fund to have a constructed concrete stage.
Yes, McCracken County High School, in the back side of the school, outside of the cafeteria, kind of where that land is tiered, where we were going to have a amphitheater set up. The high school is wanting to pour a concrete pad with a sidewalk down to that pad to have like an outdoor classroom space and to eventually have like a performance out there. They're wanting to fund and perform through a contractor that work on their own. So they're asking permission to use their funds and get a contractor to do that work. And it's concrete pad with a ramp for right now.
Do you know how much that?
the cost is?
Yes, I do. The estimate was for $35,280.
Todd, is this something?
And they're gonna
fund it entirely?
I'm
They're
sorry.
funding it entirely?
Yes, ma'am.
Todd, is this something that KDE will have to approve?
With a concrete pad, I can check, but I don't think so with a pad. It's not really a structure.
Will it have electricity to it or anything?
No, not in this stage.
Okay.
Maybe eventually, but not just the concrete pad.
Yeah, I would check just to make
Okay.
sure we don't have to.
Absolutely, I will. I know when they want electricity and all that, yes, but just a concrete pad, I don't see it much different than like adding a sidewalk.
Right.
But I definitely will check.
Carter, what's your recommendation?
Superintendent recommends allowing McCracken County High School to fund and have constructed a concrete stage.
May I have a motion to approve that?
I make a motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Aye. No opposition, motion passes. Next up, we have the request approval for the Reedland parking lot improvements.
Yes, ma'am. This is for the BG5, which is a project closeout form. I think it was 2 months ago you approved the BG4 for this project, and this was the parking lot right outside here. It's been quite a few years ago. And what the BG4 is a contract closeout where you close out with the contractor. The BG5 is project closeout where that's all of our costs, contractor costs, everything, and it completely closes that project out with KDE. So I'm asking your permission to accept this, and then we will submit this to KDE for closeout.
Mr. Carter, what's your recommendation?
The superintendent recommends approving the Reedland Parking Lot Improvement BG5 document for submittal to the Division of Facilities Management.
May I have a motion?
I make a motion to approve it.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor by aye? Aye. No opposition, motion passes. Next, we have the request for the approval of the Lono Intermediate School HVAC replacement.
Yes, this is it was approved, the BG4 was approved at the same board meeting as the previous one. This is for Lono Intermediate School Gymnasium where we had to replace the HVAC system and install a cooling tower. This will close out that project with KDE. So I'm asking for your permission to approve that, and I will submit it to KDE.
Mr. Carter, what is your recommendation?
The superintendent recommends approving the Lono Intermediate School Gymnasium HVAC replacement BG5 document for submittal to the Division of Facilities Management.
May I have a motion to approve that?
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Ms. Perkins, I just want to make you all aware, by closing these projects out, that also frees up some funds that had been sitting out there for those projects that we can, shift over to some of these other projects that we have upcoming through our SFCC. So, by closing this out, you're not only closing that project, but you're also releasing any leftover funds that were from those projects that we can reuse towards future projects.
Thank you. Okay, all in favor, aye. No opposition, motion passes. Kay, we need to set a special meeting date.
Purpose for this date, again, we have a vacant seat, and we just need to set a meeting date for you all to review applications when they're submitted and, go over the criteria required for that. We're still well within our 60-day requirement to fulfill that seat. But those that are interested have until the 24th to hand deliver or have postmarked by their applications, which, in speaking with Mr. Bradley, we have to wait until at least March 1st for mail to run for a postmark of the 24th. So I would just recommend that we have this special meeting sometime after March 1st.
Do you guys have any in particular dates that are good or not good, or are we going to go ahead and set a day and time right now?
Right now, with the situation, I don't know.
Mr. Carter, do you have any recommendations on a timeline? I mean, the week of the 1st, or?
Sorry, hold on, Mr. Shelby, go ahead, and then we'll...
So my question is, the following board meeting is the 18th?
Yes, sir.
Correct? And that falls within the additional 30 days for a total of 60 days. So I just wanted to make sure I understood that correctly.
Yes, sir.
I don't need it the week of the 1st. I think.
What would you like to do? Could we try to do it before or after our 18th meeting?
The reason I think Mr. Carter's.
We could, if you do it the 18th, you're getting on a short leash because you may decide that you want to do interviews. So I would suggest that you...
Sometime the week of the 8th?
Any time before the 18th, and then you could hopefully have your interviews, make your decision on the 18th.
Steve, how's the second week of March for you?
As far as I know, it's good now. Yeah. Just
Okay.
any of those.
How about Tuesday, March 9th?
Should be fine.
Okay. Do you have a particular time? Would you want to do a morning, lunch, evening?
I'm better in the morning or evening, but I can try to be flexible that far in advance.
Either morning or evening also.
I'm good, either one.
8 o'clock, March 9th, in the teacher workroom here at the central office?
Okay.
Yep.
That's perfect for me. No action on that, correct?
Got the meeting set.
Okay. Okay, moving on to item L, permit application for the Kentucky Department of Transportation cabinet.
Yes, last month you all approved a memorandum of understanding with the Kentucky Transportation Cabinet to allow for us to pay for the turn lane entrance project for the new Lono Middle School, and then wait for Hvac KYTC to reimburse us. And as part of that project, we have learned that we have to have an encroachment permit to complete that work. And so you all have an attachment on there that is that permit application from the Transportation Cabinet. Part of that application includes the purchase of a bond, an encroachment bond for the total bond amount would be $50,000. Peel and Holland, who is our insurance agent, has quoted me about $100 to pay for that bond. That would be paid for from the project as well. So I'm asking for your permission to approve this permit application so that we can move forward with that process.
Mr. Carter, what is your recommendation?
The superintendent recommends that the board approve the permit application for Kentucky Transportation Cabinet.
May I have a motion to approve it?
Motion to approve it.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor by aye? Aye. No opposition, motion passes. Next is consideration of returning to full capacity with a virtual option.
Yes, so Mr. Carter may want to jump in here on some of this, but just for your information, the CDC and KDE have provided additional guidance to school districts regarding safety and increasing student capacity for attendance through the pandemic. And we are now in McCracken County and Orange County. We've been red for a very, very long time. And so, as Mr. Carter said earlier, the positivity rate is decreasing, and so we are solidly in orange right now. So with the Healthy at School guidance that KDE has given us, that allows us to relax a little bit on some of the restrictions that we've had in place for so long. Under this model, we would be able to have desks as close to 6 feet apart as possible for students. We have talked with the leadership team here at Central Office, also with our principals, and talked about the guidelines that we will continue to keep in place to follow Healthy at Schools if you all would like for us to go back to school at full capacity. Some of those things that we will continue to do will be to require masks for all students and employees unless there is a medical exemption for the mask. Anytime when people are not masked, they must be 6 feet apart, and that would only be during eating time. We will continue our cleaning and disinfecting and sanitizing protocols in between students using the same items and frequently touch spaces. We will continue our temperature checks for everyone who enters the building. We'll monitor for symptoms. Our employees will still be subject to answering the exclusion criteria. There are 4 questions that you have to answer every day regarding your symptoms to see if you may be symptomatic of COVID and may need to be out of the building to get a diagnosis or see what's going on. We would continue to use the decision tree from the Purchase District Health Department regarding people who are exhibiting symptoms not being in the building until they meet certain requirements, as well as for isolation and quarantine. If we are able to transition from this current hybrid model that we have to attendance to full capacity, that would still give us the Mondays as a virtual day for planning and virtual instruction, as well as small groups for our schools to bring in small groups of students in on Mondays for extra targeted instruction. And then students would attend Tuesday through Friday, so 4 days a week. So we're asking you tonight to consider this return to a full capacity attendance model. And one thing to note is that with our second vaccine clinic tomorrow, that would give our staff some time to have that vaccine in their systems long enough to become fully effective. If we were to start with this full capacity model on Tuesday, March 2nd, that would be 12 days past the second vaccine. And from what we know, it's anywhere from 7 to 14 days for that vaccine to take full effect. So that's what we're asking you to consider tonight. Mr. Carter, if you have more to add, please do.
Yeah, I mean, all of the safety protocols we've had in place remain in place. So students on buses will have to wear masks. None of that has changed. Hand sanitizing. What is important is if if students are sick, that parents, need to keep their children at home. If they're not sure, let's err on the side of caution, because what we don't want to have is massive quarantines that, because somebody, well, it's just a regular headache or just a slight runny nose or things like that. If that does turn into positive, that becomes a quarantine. And that becomes the issue, much like the fall that we had. Our number of positive cases really didn't spike until we had the community spike. But what we did have was massive quarantines. And if you remember, we had at one point 114 students that had to quarantine. Not sure how many of those turned into positives, but that's still a piece that is in place. Contact tracing is still in effect, and so if someone does test positive and they're in that close proximity, there would be quarantine steps we have to follow, and we follow CDC guidance and the decision tree and moving forward with that. So all of that is important. What is good news for us right now is the community is on the decline as far as positive rates. I hope it's because it is a decline in the virus and not strictly weather-related. Time will tell. But again, this is something that as we move through, I think it's important that tomorrow is a very, very important day with the vaccinations and getting our staff that. And, I would, strongly recommend the consideration to have that 12 days of inoculation time before we come back. Any questions?
Mr. Carter, do you have a recommendation?
Board prerogative.
Okay. We have some different actions. Tiffany and Steve, would either of you like to discuss any of this, or would you like to make a motion for return or return to?
I would just like to say I've talked to a lot of people, and I know that we're not going to make everybody happy, but I feel like it's most important to do what we feel is, right. And I'm fine with returning, then giving it the 2 weeks after that, and then that gives teachers time also to prepare and families to prepare and to have a pretty solid plan.
Okay. Steve, do you have anything that you wanted to?
Well, initially I was for going back to 23rd because I think we need to get these kids back in school. However, the safety element is greater, and I think we need to do what the superintendent has recommended.
I agree with the March the 2nd. Also, it'll give everybody time to prepare and families to all be in school at the same time, each school to be there at the same time, and then the vaccine to work out, and it just is logical. And if you guys are all good with that, returning to full capacity starting March 2nd, would one of you care to make a motion to approve that?
I'll make the motion to approve March 2nd restart.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Sorry, Butch, go ahead.
Just for clarification, you're still suggesting that parents who want would have the virtual option?
Yeah, the virtual option still exists for all students, and we're still going to do meal deliveries for our virtual students. So the virtual option is a mandate, but we'll still offer that to parents.
Thank you, Mitch.
Yeah.
One other thing I would like to say is that everybody has put so much into this, and we've gotten this far, and so I know, like, for the people that are going to be upset maybe because we're not going to just go ahead and start back immediately, that we've just came this far, and everything we've been doing seems to have been working, pretty well. So I feel like we're at that point to where just a little bit more time will hopefully be the best option.
I agree. It's going to be worth the wait. Okay. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Aye. No opposition, motion passes. Okay, are we ready to adjourn? Or we gotta do
Orders of trade.
orders of the treasurer? I don't have that on my agenda, I'm sorry. What's the superintendent's recommendation?
Just accept the orders of the treasurer.
You have a motion to approve?
Make a motion to approve them.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Aye. No opposition, motion passes.
There is no need
Executive
to.
session this evening.
Okay, may I have a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion that we adjourn.
Second.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.